And at one point, he did put a ball, when he's running for his life, right on his receiver in the end zone, and it got broken up by, I wish I could recall which corner it was, but it was a nice play, but he put the ball right where it needed to be for a go-ahead score.
But he also ran around and took bad sacks and had a pick.
Of course, what do you expect? What does one expect?
What in the gridiron multiverse is happening right now? Myles Garrett just broke the internet by speaking out about Shedeur Sanders, and this isn't your average shake hands and go home moment. His comments were eyebrow-raising, charged with sideline energy, and packed with enough drama to fuel a reality show. Did Myles just crown Shedeur as the future of football, call him out, or accidentally drop a bomb bigger than a blitz? Stick around, this story escalates fast.
Right. Is it the kid, or is it how you have treated this guy? Like, I don't know where the fine line is, but there's certainly a disconnect. Like, when I see, like, this kid on the bench, this is after the game. Number one, it's not the 7th game of the World Series. You lost a game that nobody cares about, all right? And by the way, Lamar Jackson, a 2-time MVP, was looking for you. Like, go back in there, visit with Lamar or whatever, and then go back in with your teammates. Why is there such a disconnect here? Is it the kid's fault? Is it the organization's fault? I have no idea, all right? But I am going to say this. The only energy I saw in the entire stadium.
Shedeur Sanders sat there acting like the entire Browns versus Ravens loss rested solely on his shoulders. As if the Ravens hadn't shown up with the enthusiasm of tax collectors chasing overdue payments. And as if the Browns organization hadn't been treating quarterbacks like disposable hotel slippers for the past decade. Nope, it had to be him. Oh, him. The dramatic martyr act kicked in like a scene straight out of a Netflix special.
Everything that they have done, listen, I know they wanted to try Flacco, and I know they drafted Dylan Gabriel over him, and it looks like they believe Dylan Gabriel is the better pro prospect, which is their right to do. Then why draft the kid when you did? And they've been pushing back nonstop ever since the moment in the draft when Shedeur got drafted by them, and the coach and the GM are captured on their team's draft cam looking like they were just told
Myles wasn't having it. Not on his watch, and certainly not while he's still built like the villain from every superhero movie. If Shedeur wanted to blame himself for something, Myles probably would have preferred it be something reasonable, like apologizing for taking the last protein shake from the locker room fridge.
If Shedeur Sanders had started from the start this year, they would have 3 or 4 more wins, and they would be the talk of the league.
He's a 5th-round rookie who got thrown into a game. Okay. That wasn't a game plan for him. He did some good, he did some bad. He's a rookie who has had no action, and he's a 5th-rounder. What did y'all expect? The defense was lighting him up. He catch the ball, they sending everybody. So I'm not grading him, period. Let's give him a week of practice. Let's let him get a game plan.
Yep.
And let's let him actually.
But a whole franchise loss, a complete defensive meltdown, an organizational identity crisis. Garrett basically body-blocked that guilt like it was a quarterback in the pocket. You could almost hear him thinking, you're not about to take this PR disaster away from management. They earned this. They trained for this. They have a certification in chaos.
He didn't get any reps. They don't know the snap count. That's pro football. That's the way it's got to be sometimes. This isn't a movie. This isn't Rudy. We're not going to carry it off on our shoulders, all right? You got to go out and perform. That being said, he had 3 really bad plays out of the whole game. The first one was on a naked pin where he didn't stretch the defense and he threw it right now and Kyle Hamilton almost picked it. That was a bad play. That's easily coached. The next one was on the pick. He had pressure on his face. He should have taken the immediate quick out in the flat instead of trying to push it to Jerry Jeudy. I saw what he saw. If you're coaching a quarterback, you say it's 3rd down and 10. You don't have to force it to the deeper throw.
One thing Myles Garrett has mastered, besides throwing 300-pound men around like decorative pillows, it's spotting when the Browns organization is up to their usual quarterback mismanagement shenanigans. Take their so-called prestigious quarterback program, a case study that probably belongs in a science journal. 20 years of data, dozens of quarterbacks, and the only consistent outcome is disappointment, packaged neatly in a yearly film reel titled What Not to Do with Young Talent. You could hand them Patrick Mahomes, and somehow they'd turn him into a backup wide receiver coach within 6 weeks. So when Shedeur stepped up to say, "It's my fault," Myles saw the trap. He saw the Matrix. He saw the entire blame-shifting operation booting up like a Windows XP computer at 3 a.m. Shedeur, bless his football heart, was genuinely sad, and Miles knew it. Everyone from the locker room to the hot dog vendor outside probably knew it too. The Browns had thrown Shedeur in like a new driver handed a Formula One car. Go race. No pressure. Don't die. Very inspirational. Very educational. Very Cleveland.
Was awful. And that's unfortunate because a lot of people are going to try to use this game to justify why they think they were right about Shedeur Sanders in the pre-draft process. But the reality of the situation is you should take this game with a grain of salt. Because the circumstances he was put in this Ravens game, it is next to impossible for really any backup quarterback to come off the bench and thrive, let alone a rookie quarterback who has had 0 reps with the ones whatsoever. Not to mention your
Imagine being placed in a system that treats quarterbacks like rechargeable batteries from the dollar store. Use them, drain them, toss them, repeat, and then being surprised when performance isn't flawless. But sure, blame Shedeur, blame the new kid, blame the one person who still believes being drafted is a blessing and not the first stage of NFL psychological warfare. Myles Garrett wasn't about to watch another young quarterback walk the plank just because the PR department needed a human sacrifice. He's seen this movie before, had front row tickets, practically a loyalty membership card. You're not taking the fall for a system that can't teach quarterbacks, protect quarterbacks, support quarterbacks, or even historically identify quarterbacks. And let's be clear, Shedeur's sadness wasn't born from ego or dramatic flair. It came from someone who actually cares, someone who wants to improve, someone who takes failure personally because he still has hope. And we all know hope is the most dangerous substance inside the Cleveland organization.
What a tough spot that is, because you want as a quarterback to go up and own it, right? You need to own the podium because this is my team, but he doesn't even know if it's his team. And even him, basically, he can't go up and say, I have not thrown a pass with these guys since the summer. And you're telling me to go pull it out against the Ravens? But if he does that, then he's not taking responsibility. And he did basically say, hey, it's the first time I threw to this guy, because he wants you to know this is not optimum, and I'd love to have a shot.
Meanwhile, Myles Garrett stood there like a veteran teacher watching a freshman volunteer to take the blame for a fire drill he didn't start. Brows raised, head tilted, the message was telepathically clear. Stop it right now. This script has played out too many times, and you are not becoming the next tragic season documentary. If the Browns organization could talk, their statement would be something like, wow, Shedeur is so accountable, so mature, so leadership-driven, while secretly preparing paperwork to make him the scapegoat for everything from turnovers to late stadium rent, and Myles knew it. That's why he shut it down. That's why he refused to let Shedeur carry the guilt. Yet somehow, the guy who hasn't even been fully integrated into the system yet was ready to shoulder the entire blame. Shedeur wanted to be the superhero, but Myles wasn't going to let him put on that cape. Because in Cleveland, heroes don't get sequels. So what does Garrett do instead? He counters, blaming the infrastructure. Not a single person, not the fans, not the officiating.
I don't know whether Shedeur Sanders is an NFL quarterback or not. And I don't blame anybody for assuming and surmising that he may not be. But how does he get 0 snaps with the first team? How a player is able to say they were unfamiliar with his snap count? He wasn't prepped at all. You're a QB2. Your QB1 is an undersized dude, a hit away from getting...
Shedeur tries to look tough and responsible while Myles is just trying to keep him from becoming emotionally extinct. The duality is unmatched. Just like that, Shedeur goes from self-assigned villain to protected rookie. Not coddled, protected. Garrett isn't telling him he's perfect. He's telling him that if he wants to improve, he needs to do it without carrying the sins of Cleveland's organizational habits on his shoulders like a spiritual burden. Because once you start apologizing for things you didn't cause, you become a permanent apology machine. And Garrett has 0 interest in watching another quarterback get spiritually vaporized. Here's the reality nobody wants to say out loud. Myles Garrett stepping in wasn't ego. It was experience. It was a man who has seen how this story ends and refuses to let it happen again. He supported Shedeur not out of softness or sentimentality, but because he knows the Browns' track record, the quarterback conveyor belt, the warning signs, and most importantly, he knows when someone is trying to play hero for a mess they didn't create.
But let me just say, for one, the Ravens, even though they're 4-5, they're a great team nonetheless. So that's one. But then two, you expect this dude to ball out in his debut, even though he's been sat all this time. Very smart, okay. But not only that, people are really acting like he did this bad. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a terrible stat line. But let me just put it out there that there were at least 3 passes that would have been key in their game-winning drive that his receivers literally had in his chest.
Every franchise has its culture. Some nurture talent, some build dynasties. And then there's Cleveland, a legendary place where quarterbacks are forged in misery and escape only through trade deals, retirement, or divine intervention. Shedeur was about to sacrifice himself to protect that legacy of chaos, and Myles Garrett shut that operation down like someone yanking the plug from a gaming console mid-match. Because whether anyone likes it or not, the future doesn't depend on Shedeur apologizing. It depends on the Browns actually developing him, actually training him, actually protecting him, actually supporting him, which might be the biggest challenge of all because the Browns haven't done that consistently since flip phones were mainstream. Myles was spiritually patrolling the perimeter, ready to intercept guilt before it landed. You can lose games, rebuild, make mistakes, but what Garrett refuses to accept is the Browns' favorite pastime, letting a young quarterback self-destruct for the sake of organizational convenience. He's not letting it happen. Not today, not this season, not to Shedeur.
To see Shedeur at all yesterday?
I didn't.
In the second half, I felt like they put him in a trick bag somewhat, but no reps with the first unit at all, even though he was a second string or third, whatever they want to call him. Made some solid throws, made some mistakes, had some balls that his team should have, his guys should have caught, but I just think overall for him to be able to get out there, right. It's been real interesting over there. It's just like, it's almost like you hate to say it, but I think the writing's on the walls. There's some weird energy over there with him not being able to get an opportunity to get on the field. What are your thoughts on that?
I just feel cream rise to the top. You know what I mean? And like I said, whatever they throw at him, whatever he's doing, like I said, he has a great role models ahead of him.
Maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what Cleveland has been missing all along. A human firewall blocking the blame game with the same force he uses to stop running backs. For the first time in a long time, maybe that's progress. The funniest and most fascinating part came afterward. You'd think that once Shedeur realized he wasn't allowed to take the blame, he'd relax, take a deep breath, maybe eat a protein bar, and go home like a normal person. Nope. He doubled down on accountability like it was a competitive sport, craving responsibility the way kids crave candy. It was almost adorable, in the most tragically football way. Meanwhile, Myles Garrett watched him with the expression of a man who's seen rookies chew through emotional ice cubes before. And he wasn't about to let Shedeur hit step 4. Think of it like this. Shedeur is the student volunteering to stay after class for punishment he didn't earn. The Browns are the teacher who keeps assigning essays until someone collapses. And Myles is the guy in the back finally saying, nope, not today. We're not turning this into another quarterback funeral.
If I can say that modestly, I know what's been transpiring behind the curtains. And I'm just proud of it because he's not just saying the right things.
Keep in mind, Garrett isn't in denial. He knows the game was ugly, the loss stung, and the film room is going to feel like watching your own security camera footage after a bad haircut. But he also knows you don't build a quarterback by letting them marinate in misery. You build one by developing them like an investment, teaching, training, and surrounding them with support instead of saddling them with blame. The Browns historically do the opposite. They hand a quarterback the playbook, cross their fingers, light a candle, switch off the lights, and hope for a miracle. Didn't need to be that way. Garrett's intervention was the emotional equivalent of tapping the brakes before the car hits the wall. A simple reminder that effort doesn't equal blame and that legitimacy isn't earned through self-punishment. That's the most underrated part of the moment. Myles wasn't dismissing accountability. He was teaching balance, because there's a massive difference between